You're listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. Sports Talk with Sam Jordan, Keon Rose, and Nick LeFew once again filling in for Sam Jordan. And we've got a number of things going on today. Obviously, more NBA playoff games. The draft is coming up right around the corner, and we are on Ronald Acuna watch here with the Braves.
Yeah, it looks like I don't know, Dansby just lined out, so I'm not sure where he is in the lineup, but I would assume he would be coming up here soon.
All right.
It's kind of exciting to be able to watch this.
It is. I feel like I'm going to only have half of you for this show.
Yeah, well, at least till he gets that first at bat, and then maybe, I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't know who this is hitting.
So, yeah, while we were all sleeping, Ronald Acuna was promoted to the major leagues, and he's officially a Brave. He's playing right now. They're playing the Cincinnati Reds. The Braves lead 1-0. Here is at the top of the second inning.
It is, yeah. Gotta love those Cincinnati start times at 6:30.
Right.
Like who does that?
Where
except the Reds.
People are still driving home from work and can't watch the game yet.
Yeah, and so even in it's Cincinnati at 6:30. It's not like they're at a different time zone. I mean,
you can see it. The stadium's not exactly full.
Can't be the best time to start a game.
No,
like I don't understand what we're doing here.
It seems like an awfully inconvenient time to start. So we're going to try and go ahead and do this show here with one and a half radio hosts, me, and then half of Nick, and the other half of Nick is paying attention to this Braves game. So we'll get him back when Acuna hits.
Yeah,
and we'll let you know how that first at bat goes.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting if you're a Braves fan to finally see some of these guys when they've been so bad for so long, reap the benefits of these draft picks finally starting to come up and be ready to play ball.
Right. Well, it's like it has to be, if you're a Braves fan, what it's like if you are an NBA fan and you're a Sixers fan, and your team has been terrible forever, and then finally you get to see Simmons and Fultz and Embiid and Sarge all play together and they look good. That has to be what that feels like.
It is, and with baseball, as everyone knows who's a sports fan, it takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
In baseball to get those guys up for whatever reason. Baseball is a very hard sport to just come in from either high school or overseas or college and just go right to the majors. That doesn't happen. So they got to start in those. It's not like the NBA. I don't know. Obviously, I've never played at that high of a level or anything like that, but it's got to be a complete learning curve for those guys to have to start and go through that many levels of development to even get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, because baseball is one of those sports that you play with your skills more so than with your body, right? So with basketball, you can be rough around the edges, but physically you can be there.
LeBron early in his career.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't skilled at that point. He was just an athletic freak.
Entirely. And you see it with guys like Giannis and stuff, where people thought Giannis was not going to be anywhere near the player that he was, and he shows up and he immediately has an impact on the game because physically he's so gifted.
Yeah.
And he'll learn all the skills later on the go. You can't do that in baseball. It's not possible.
No, and I think that's part of the problem for baseball. Everybody's been trying to fix baseball for so long. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with baseball. I love the sport. But people have been trying to fix it for so long, saying it takes too long or it's boring or whatever. A lot of it's because you don't get those stars right away. You have to wait for them. I think a lot of that has to do with it. I mean, even Bryce Harper didn't just come right into Major League Baseball.
And there's a guy that's about as physically ready when he came up as anybody ever was.
100% he was. And so, it's interesting. I think that has a lot to do with it too. But I mean, we'll see how it affects the Braves and everything with Acuna, and you'll see Colby Allard a little bit later. He's a starting pitcher. You'll see him later in the year as well. So we'll see. There's two of them right there, Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna, two young guys that are going to be real fun to watch.
My thing too, because when we talk about fixing baseball, and by the way, Clutch with Keon Rose, the show that comes up after this, I'm just going to go ahead and shamelessly plug this because I think
plug.
If you want. I'm going to try and I'm having a really good interview. Dale Murphy, Atlanta Braves legend, his number 3 jersey is retired.
Should be in the Hall of Fame. Was just looking down all of his accolades. It's amazing that guy's not a Hall of Famer. It really is. You obviously you don't have to tell Braves fans that he should be in the Hall of Fame. If if you are a baseball purist too, you shouldn't have to tell them either. That guy was a 5-tool player and should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago.
Yeah, for sure. There's almost no reason why he isn't, but he'll be on the show later, 8:00. You're not going to want to miss that interview. I'm going to ask him about the game. I'm going to ask him about baseball. But when we talk about fixing baseball, what do we even mean by that? Because I mean, the game makes money.
Well, I think you have to understand too that at this point in time in history, people have the shortest attention span they've ever had. Baseball does require you to have an attention span compared to other sports that are always fast moving. Baseball's not that way. But there's a reason it's called a pastime. You pass the time watching a baseball game. To me, there is nothing like going to a ballpark and watching a ball game. Like baseball, the experience you can have at a ballpark, it's the best. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but people have always talked about, we got to fix baseball. Right. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. I watch just about every sport. I personally don't watch baseball for the same reasons and with the same expectations that I watch basketball with, No. And I love action movies, but I can't watch every movie cannot be a movie made by Michael Bay.
No,
sometimes
you're right.
You want a drama. Sometimes, romance is fine.
You need to be a little eclectic in the sports. Baseball is so different just because it is so detailed.
Right.
And I think that's where people lose it.
I think I agree with you on that. There's a certain level of you don't actually know what it is that you are looking at.
Yeah, if you haven't played the sport, and to be honest with you, if you haven't even played the sport probably at a high level, you don't really understand. But you got to think these pitchers are constantly thinking not about the pitch they're about to throw, but I'm throwing this pitch to set up this pitch. And then the hitter's thinking, okay, what pitch is he throwing? I mean, it's a constant chess match.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what people think about, because the same thing is with football. It's a chess match too, but it's a chess match between the coaches, not the players.
Right.
The players just do what the coach tell them to do. Baseball, it's completely different.
Football is a team chess match. This is one where the players are setting each other up and trying to counter and move against one another.
There aren't coaches in baseball. There's obviously there's a hitting coach and stuff like that, but they don't really affect anything in the game. They'll
Not
be
once
like,
the game starts. Yeah.
Do you remember that scouting report, that film we watched on that coach or on that pitcher, right? Yeah, That's what you'll talk about with those. But a manager doesn't coach. He doesn't call plays or anything like that. And like in any other sport, even hockey, they have set plays.
Right.
Baseball, there's no plays. The only thing a manager does to change anything is the shift and then manage the bullpen, which most of them can't do. Gabe Kapler.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing, and I don't know what you would have to do. And I talked to you a little bit earlier about an idea that I thought about. The Braves lost in 12 innings last night after a big comeback in the ninth. Why don't you change the way you do standings a little bit, like they did in hockey, where if you lose in overtime, you get a point. You win, you get 2 points. You lose in regulation, you get 0 points for your standings. Why not do that in baseball? Why not reward a big comeback like that? Yeah, you still may lose the game, but you still get a point in the standings.
I think that there is some merit to that, because I also think it helps people stay engaged for a whole season. The thing about baseball is this: not only does it require patience to watch individual games,
there's 162 of them.
Yeah, and I think there's a level of patience that you have to have when it comes to following a team for an entire season that I think football makes it really nice and easy. You just have 16 games. It's really basketball is 82 games, but if you show up at the beginning of the season, around the All-Star break, and then around the time the playoffs start, you're pretty much good for an NBA season.
That's kind of what baseball's turned into too.
Yeah.
Opening day is one of the biggest things ever, but then 3 weeks later, everybody's like, nah, no, we'll worry about it in July.
And if your team's not off to the hottest start ever, you're basically,
I'm not watching that. Yeah. And that's the thing, is baseball is definitely, of all the sports, I think it is the most where I'm going to follow my team. I'm not going to follow everybody else's. So if the Braves, if you're a Braves fan, the Braves have been awful lately, you kind of give up on baseball, right? But when the Braves were good, baseball was huge in the South.
Yeah.
Because the Braves won all the time.
And that's the thing. When we say baseball needs to be fixed, I think what we're saying is we want baseball to be the national pastime again, because it is still a pastime. I think it's a regional pastime, though.
100% it's a regional pastime. You don't. I can't tell you the last time I watched a full baseball game that wasn't the Braves. I just don't do it. I'll tune in and watch a little bit of one, unless it's the playoffs. I'm not watching a full baseball game if it's not the Braves.
Same here. I live here where I'm in Braves country, so I cover the Braves, and so I watch the Braves. I'm a Nats fan. I watch the Nats, and lately, because I've just been really intrigued by Shohei Ohtani, I've been watching the Angels. But those are the only teams I follow. Like, I couldn't honestly tell you, even though we've got the lookouts here, what the Twins are doing. I couldn't tell you about a ton of other teams in the league. And unless something big happens, like, I really don't know. I'm stuck in the region. And I guess when we're saying, like, when we fix baseball, we want it to be a national pastime again, the way that football currently is, and the way that, you could be a kid in Chattanooga, but I see Steph Curry jerseys everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to see that with baseball again, though. And a lot of it, and we can argue this for days, but I think a lot of it has to do with the TV deals.
Interesting.
Because you can't watch games that aren't national. Like, they have a national game of the week. ESPN does Sunday Night Baseball. Fox does Saturday baseball, and then there's 2 days a week during the week that there's a national game, and it's always the Yankees, it's always the Red Sox, the Dodgers on the West Coast,
or the Cubs, I guess,
or the Cubs.
Yeah, it's all of the big name teams, whether or not those teams are good, and now it's fine because the Yankees are interesting. Now it's fine because the Red Sox are pretty good, but when they weren't, they were still forcing it down our throats. It's not like
I don't want to watch the Yankees versus the Red Sox 18 times a year. I don't care. I don't care enough.
Even when they're good, and also you end up still being stuck in a region, just in the major markets. You don't get to hear about, like, the year that the Royals surprised us all and made it all the way to a World Series.
Everybody was like, "Who
are these people?"
And I bet you nobody could name 5 people on that roster either, unless you were a Royals fan until they got to the World Series. At that point, people could. But then you're like, who are these guys? And then you cheer for them because it's like, that's not the Yankees. That's not the Red Sox. That's not the Cubs. I'm going to cheer for these people.
Yeah, like the Mariners at the peak of Felix Hernandez. Like, the Mariners were terrible, but Felix Hernandez was legitimately the most exciting pitcher in baseball. He was just crammed away in the Pacific Northwest.
And nobody cared.
Yeah.
And it was even that year, and then the Mariners in 2001 when they won 116 games or something. Nobody talked about them.
Yeah, I think he pitched like a no-hitter in that season too.
Yeah,
and I was watching, and I was home, and they had to do live check-ins on MLB Network because no one had the game on.
Yeah, and the sad part is you had players like Ichiro in his prime there, Felix Hernandez. Even if you go further back, you had Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
You had Edgar Martinez. I mean, it's not like they were bad players. You just didn't know them because you didn't want Randy Johnson.
Yeah. You hear names, but you don't know the makeup of the team or how that person fits. And
Alex Rodriguez.
It took, and it's frustrating because you could be a baseball fan and go, well, my team's pretty good and no one pays attention to us. And it takes zero time at all for Aaron Judge to be a star. And he does have that star power about him. But Aaron Judge is playing in any other city, and we don't know who he is.
You're right. And I think you could say that about a lot of Yankees and Red Sox.
Yeah.
I mean, would we know who Dustin Pedroia was if he wasn't a Red Sox?
Probably not.
And Dustin Pedroia is a really good player, so don't get that wrong. I like Dustin Pedroia a lot. But he's also not flat. He's not super flashy. But everybody knows who Dustin Pedroia is because he's a Red Sox.
Yeah.
So baseball will always be regional. And I think a lot of it has to do with TV deals because used to the Braves were on TBS. That's national.
Yeah.
Now it's on. Everybody's on a Fox Sports something.
Yeah, Fox Sports South,
Fox Sports Southwest, Fox Sports Northeast, Fox Sports whatever, except the Yankees who have the Yes Network, and then you have Boston who has NESN, or is it NESN? And
yeah, it is.
And then the Royals who have the Orioles who have MASN and stuff like that. But most of them are Fox affiliates.
Yeah, and I wonder part of it too if there isn't a star power aspect to this, if we can find a way to make stars. Because, for instance, in the NBA,
Yeah.
before LeBron James. You could not find a Cavs game on TV.
No, you're right.
But LeBron makes it so that you can watch the Cavs. You
Yeah.
can find, I don't know. I mean, just find a small market team like Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers, the Spurs, with LaMarcus Aldridge now and Kawhi when he was playing.
We'll get to that a little later.
Sure. The next segment we have to get into the Kawhi thing because that's to me is one of the most bizarre stories in sports.
Yeah.
But you have star power that can take these small markets and put them on a national stage. Whereas in baseball, it seems to work the other way around. The market size makes the star instead of the star
which is sad.
The team. Yeah.
I mean, it is sad. And you know, where we are, we're kind of at a point where we have the Braves, and it is the Braves are the entire Southeast. Like there's other teams like the Rays and the Marlins. Nobody cares.
But yeah, no,
nobody cares.
There's no point.
It's a Braves. When the Braves play the Marlins, it's all Braves fans. And when the Braves play the Rays in Tampa, it's all Braves fans.
Yeah. When the Braves play the Marlins in Miami, it's all Braves fans. And that's weird because like South Beach, Miami is about as far away as you could possibly get in this region.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's still all Braves
That's
fans.
like people are always like, well, let's move a Major League Baseball team to Nashville. It's a horrible idea. Nobody is, except for the city of Nashville, which is great fan base.
Mm-hmm.
They would hop on board, but who else is going to hop on board regionally?
I think, and you could see it a little bit, like it's taken a lot of time, but you could see it a little bit with the Cowboys and the Texans. They got a team back in Houston. They gave them the Texans, but a lot of those fans had become Cowboys fans. And so,
because that's what they had.
Yeah. So it was hard to leave a team you'd been rooting for years and now root for another team.
Although I will say this, there are a lot of Titans fans in Houston too.
Yeah,
because they were the Oilers and they moved
and they have not given that up.
And kudos to them because I mean that's still their team and it's still their franchise. It just moved cities, but now you got the Texans, so I mean that's different too.
But it's that dividing of allegiances. Yeah, you couldn't possibly do that in Nashville. I just wonder what we can do marketing wise. Yeah, the TV stuff is rough, and I just don't see that changing anytime soon. Like they are so lucrative. Like there's a reason why the TV deals exist the way they do. It's just they make a ton of cash.
And to kind of piggyback on that idea that I had with the point system, to kind of think of the way hockey does it, if it goes into extra innings, people talk about how long games are, stop it at 11 innings, put your 3 best hitters up there, do a home run derby. Only in the regular season, like throw the playoffs out of the equation. That's just going to be normal baseball. But this way you can get stars. What are your Sports Center highlights going to be for baseball? If a game goes into extra innings, it's going to be that home run derby where you have 3 hitters who have 5 chances to hit home runs, and whichever of the group of 3 tally the most home runs, they end up winning the game. I mean, those kind of things can build stars.
Yeah.
And hockey did that for a reason when they went to a shootout instead of ending in regulation, no overtime at all, just ending it and being like, oh, that's a point for you.
And that's why that idea is really not that wild, because it is what people want. People want goals in hockey. We talk about PKs in soccer. People want goals in soccer. And so, yeah, the thing that decides the game is the most exciting aspect of the game. The thing that the people want to see.
Home runs in
baseball. That is a thing that no matter who you are, and it doesn't matter if you are in love with baseball or not, there is almost nothing as exciting as a home run.
And the home run derby draws great numbers every year on ESPN.
Yeah, sometimes more than the actual All-Star game.
I would agree. I guarantee you it does. And that's why I think, why not? If you want to fix baseball, that's the way you fix baseball. It's not, you don't fix baseball by, shortening the game. Like what? Putting time limits on the game. That's not baseball.
That's not baseball, and there is no sport where anybody's like, oh yeah, you know what my problem is with football? It's that the games are 4 hours long. Like you might complain about the commercials and stuff, but in terms of the length of the game, like no, you don't.
Yeah, no, and football games wouldn't be that long if it wasn't for commercials either. But baseball games probably wouldn't be as long either if after every 3 outs you have a 2-minute commercial break.
That's true.
I mean, after every 3 outs. Why does hockey go by so fast? Because there's like 2 commercials during a period.
Yeah.
Soccer, there's no commercials during a half. So,
and they've had to do the thing with soccer where they just sort of minimize, and I don't know why don't we try that in baseball?
No, or even just football for that matter too. If you think about both of them, a sporting event should not take all day. It should not take 4 hours. They're not even designed to do that. Baseball never did that back when there was not these TV deals that there are now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a problem that's probably never going to be fixed.
Yeah, I mean, the problem that we have is that the problem makes money.
Yeah.
So while it's a problem,
but it's not really a problem.
Right. You're listening to Sports Talk with Sam Jordan, Keon Rose and Nick LeFew filling in for Sam Jordan here on Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nuga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Kill 6 kids, get 4 years. Jonathan Walker sentenced to 4 years in state prison for the deadly Woodmore bus crash, which killed 6 children. He'll be eligible for parole after serving 30% of his sentence. Family members of the victims wept as they heard his sentencing, which they believed was too short. 21-year-old Darius Moore was shot on Pinewood Avenue. The Chattanooga Police Department rushed to the scene. The victim was taken to the hospital. The police set up a crime scene. Now they're looking for a suspect. A former coach at Macaulay, who's now dead, is accused of sexual abuse. Students at Macaulay say that Carpenter was a basketball coach at Macaulay for 11 seasons until 1999. The Macaulay school put out a statement saying that 2 former students came forward saying that Steve Carpenter sexually abused them. The Board of Trustees at Macaulay is working on an investigation alongside the police. Russell Stroud, Nuga Radio News Talk, Action News now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Chattanooga weather.
It's got mostly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Overnight lows into the lower to middle 50s. More rain will push back in from the south and west on Thursday. A wet afternoon, highs only 60 to 62. Showers will end tomorrow night. Drier Friday with sunny and pleasant weather for the weekend. This forecast is brought to you by Hamilton Medical Center in Dalton. Trust your heart to the hospital. That is top 10% in the nation for heart attack treatment. That's Hamilton Medical Center in Dalton. And I'm Sworn Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Matt Report.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Here's what advertisers are saying.
Nuga Radio.
Radio station, they really care. They're always calling me probably once a week, checking on me, seeing how things going, see if they want to change any of the ads or do anything different, seeing what my needs are. I've gotten business off the ads that you do for me, and seems to be working well at this point.
Prices were very fair. Areas in this town that we aren't able to get other ways, your radio station is able to help us out, and I really appreciate that.
We've been very pleased with the services we've got. It seems like everybody over there cares about what they're going to do, how it's going to work for us on this end, and we've been very impressed with the creativity of the ads that we've heard, and they always seem to be right on point.
Been doing business with News Talk Radio for quite some time. It's the best place and the best value you can get for your advertisement. The commercials are great. They're very professional. I was actually blown away.
The commercial that they put together was awesome. It was way far above all the other radio stations we've dealt with. The best we've had yet, guarantee you.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM.
We just started a family and we're already planning for the future. Michael Levy has helped pave the way to keep our financial future on track. He's local, he knows us, and cares about what's important to us. Don't put your future on hold. Call Michael Levy, 779-7755.
Hear that? It's not what you think. That, my friend, is the new 2018 Indian Chieftain Dark Horse. Yes, Indian Motorcycle. It's more than a bike. It's an American icon. And Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga is the only place you'll find their new 2018 line. There's also a great selection of pre-owned bikes ready to roll and all the gear you need to hit the open road. If you're thinking of joining the club, go to Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look at the sign on 153 and Amnicola. Indian Motorcycle, the true American original.
Chattanooga Paint and Decorating would like to remind you it's that time of year again. Spring has sprung, summer just around the corner. The temperature is perfect for outdoor entertaining. But are you ready? Is your house a little dingy? Does your fence need a coat of stain? Is your deck showing wear? If you've got work to do, Chattanooga Paint and Decorating can help. For exterior paint, stain, sealants, and supplies, stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today on Hickson Pike across from Valvoline or on ChattanoogaPaint.com. Get an extra 10% off. Just say you heard it on the radio.
Mom's furniture, her boxes of paperback romances, Mom's estate. Oh, call Dan. Dan will help you get on with your life. Let Dan clear the old house. Take care of everything. He'll hand you a nice check. 314-4034. Dan the Cleanup Man. 314-4034. In this moment, who has your back? Do you know the name of your insurance agent? Does your agent know your name? Or would you call a 1-800 number that connects you with whom? Another state? Another country? Get a local independent insurance agent with Auto Owners Insurance. Someone you can call when bad stuff happens. In this moment, get an agent who will protect you in that moment. Let Goss Insurance in Chattanooga help you today. GossInsurance.wordpress.com. Goss, representing Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. GossInsurance.com. Goss. GossInsurance.com. Representing Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. 875-2500. 875-2500.
Nuga Radio. Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7
Nuga Radio. It's the moment you've been waiting for. Sam Jordan's Nuga Radio, 92.7 Sports, now.
You're listening to all new Nuga Radio and NugaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM, Sports Talk with Sam Jordan. I am Keon Rose. Alongside me is Nick LaFew. We're filling in for Sam Jordan today. We do have some NBA stuff to get into.
Yeah.
Because obviously the weird Kawhi Leonard story is still weird.
It keeps getting more weird.
The Spurs are not even in the playoffs anymore, and the story's still weird. Like, let's
set an over-under. What on a percentage? What percentage that he comes back to San Antonio?
My guess?
Yeah.
Just the way that this thing
I'll
to
set
balloon out of
over-under 45%.
Under.
Yeah, see, I'm tempted to, and I feel like I set that pretty low too. But I don't. Why would you come back? It's a debacle there right now. And how much longer is Pop really going to coach with all he's got going on in his personal life? He's done everything he wants to do.
Pop is one of those guys I think will just coach until he dies because he doesn't do.
What else does he do? Yeah.
But I will say this though, the Pop did put Kawhi Leonard out there a little bit to the media when they asked him essentially, why isn't Kawhi at any of these games? Because Kawhi hasn't even been going to the games to sit on the bench. Like, if you're still injured, fine, but support your teammates. And Pop just kind of said, I don't know. I mean, you have to ask his people, essentially.
But you have to understand Pop, too. I mean, right. Pop's not ever going to sugarcoat anything. He's not going to hide anything. He's going to tell you like it is.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it for 20 years to Craig Sager on the sidelines.
Yeah, that poor guy. But and every other sideline reporter. I don't know if you've ever seen.
Oh yeah, well he was actually nice to Craig compared to what he is to everybody else.
Right,
because he actually liked Craig.
Like over the years of just abusing him, like you just grow to like him. But I remember listening to ESPN Radio and Israel Gutierrez, who does the sideline reporting for them sometimes. I mean, he gets nervous every time he has to do.
Well, wouldn't you?
Yes.
I'd say no, I'm not doing it. I'm not covering the Spurs game. Nope, not happening.
Greg Popovich and Nick Saban are my top. I please never want to actually interview these people in person coaches.
Yeah. I
don't have the mental fortitude.
I feel like I would sit in a Nick Saban press conference and just not say a word.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'd take notes because I'd be scared to take notes.
Like if he saw you taking notes.
So what are you writing down?
Nothing.
Nothing, Coach Saban. Sorry.
Nothing. Yeah, those are my top two guys. But yeah, Greg Popovich is a guy, and the Spurs organization is an organization that keeps everything more or less close to the vest. So it's hard to get a read on the entire Kawhi situation. But I will say this is the first time I have seen this, where a guy is injured and his team is in the playoffs, and he's not on the bench or behind the bench or in the building or in the city. Kawhi's in New York.
Yeah, that's like not even something AI would do.
Yeah. It's AI just didn't want to practice.
Yeah, Kawhi just didn't want to be there. I feel like there's a lot that we don't know, and that's obvious. I think that's stating the obvious, but there's a lot going on in that locker room that I don't even know that we'll ever know.
Right.
But I don't even think a lot of it has to do with Pop. I think there's something going on with those players.
Maybe. But but it's been more or less the same locker room for a while. I think here's one of the things though that I've heard it's not even a rumor. It's just that Kawhi Leonard's main advisor is his uncle.
That always goes well.
Yeah, and that to me is this problem that his uncle wants him to be in a bigger market, and I just think that that's the silliest thing. If it's true, I think that's silly. You don't need to be in a big market.
You're playing for one of the most successful NBA franchises in the last 20 years. You're going to be on TV.
Yeah,
you don't need to go to LA.
Title.
What's he going to do? Go to New York with that crappy team? What's he going to do? Go to LA with that crappy team? I mean,
right? Like where do you go from here? There is no up from where you are.
No, there's no up.
And again, you are in 2018. You do not need to be in a major market to have a great shoe deal, to make a lot of money. Russell Westbrook is in Oklahoma City, and there is nothing in Oklahoma City.
There's a restaurant about Mickey Mantle.
Okay,
that's about it.
The one thing in Oklahoma City,
yeah,
the Mickey Mantle restaurant.
Yeah, which is really good, by the way. I've been there.
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, because there's really no reason to go to Oklahoma City. So unless you're like just driving through, don't waste your time.
Right. Yeah. And so that's the thing that I wonder about this is Kawhi Leonard's uncle going to lead him in a misguided direction?
Of course.
And sort of ruin everything for his career? Because it's obvious to me that the Spurs would have liked to have had him back. And also, we talk about when players get drafted, where they get drafted sort of decides the trajectory of their career.
And that's in any sport.
In any sport, yeah. And being drafted by the Spurs is the best thing that can happen to you. Kawhi Leonard could not shoot when he got into the league. And I don't know if he ever learns to shoot if he goes anywhere else.
I think the only person that, other than Pop, that could have taught him and that staff taught him how to shoot would if he went to Golden State.
Right.
With Kerr. But other than that, who else develops talent like Pop does?
It's very hard. And it's rare to see, even in a sport like the NBA, where guys do develop and change. And, you know, you've seen guys that have played power forward their whole life and never had to shoot threes. They're now starting to shoot them because, like mathematically, you just have to. I mean, and even then, no one does it better than the Spurs. And so I just have to wonder because, like, there are players that are essentially just like Kawhi Leonard that have entered the league. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is one to me, where great defensive player, but he can't shoot and never got developed properly. Like Kawhi Leonard could be Michael Kidd-Gilchrist on another team.
Oh, what if they switched roles? I mean, what if Kawhi went to Charlotte and Kidd-Gilchrist went to San Antonio?
Yeah, early in their careers. Like maybe we're talking about this differently.
And Kidd-Gilchrist is the guy that's in San Antonio being a superstar. And that's another thing. What good is him going to a bigger market going to do? He's already a superstar.
He already has a shoe. It's not like it's not like I need to go to a bigger market to get the shoe deal. You're already a Jordan guy. You already have a shoe.
And it's a great company to be a part of.
What is Kawhi Leonard going to do in a bigger city? Act in movies? I don't think so.
He's not got that personality.
No. When was the last time you saw Kawhi Leonard smile?
I can't even. I turn his interviews off after about 10 seconds.
Yeah, he's just a quiet guy. He speaks in cliches. He says the things he's supposed to say.
He'd be a great coach.
He'd be a fantastic coach.
I just don't understand. To me, I think there has to be more going on. And I know I don't want to circle back to that, but there has to be something else going on because there is no way Kawhi would leave that place unless there's really something bad going on. I don't know if he knows something that everybody else doesn't know about the organization or what, but something's got to be going on.
Yeah. I mean, the reports that it's the relationship between Kawhi and the Spurs organization is broken. I believe them, if not only because of Adrian Wojnarowski specifically, his track record of reporting things.
If for the NBA, if you're gonna trust anybody, you trust Woj.
Yeah, but there's still something. There's some bit of information that at least we don't have. Maybe he's got it, but we don't have it. Because how can something like that fall apart? They're going to offer him a max, and that no one can offer him more money than they can. They're the Spurs, so they have the cap space because they actually run their organization well. What's the problem?
Where does he go?
There's another star on the team in Aldridge.
And it's not like he can go somewhere else where he has a better chance to win.
Right. Like if winning is what's important.
I mean, what does he do? Go to Golden State where they won't be able to offer him a max deal?
I
Does he go to Toronto?
You can't go to any of those places. You suppose you could go to Toronto. Toronto actually is one of those teams that runs
But
really
is
well. too.
Toronto really any better of a city than San
make-
Antonio?
I don't think so. I've never been there, but
I mean, Toronto's a great city, but talk about markets for the NBA.
But also, you can make more money in Texas, not just because of the max, which they can offer you and nobody else can, but there's no state income tax in Texas. If you go to Toronto, you pay taxes in Canada, and then you pay U.S. taxes also, which is why the Raptors have always had trouble getting stars.
And that's any pro sport in that.
Or Toronto and Winnipeg in hockey, or the Blue Jays in baseball. It's just hard because you get taxed twice.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, and especially when you're bringing in that much, and it's a percentage, you're going to lose a lot of money.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And a lot of the tax breaks that a lot of rich people get in the U.S. don't apply to athletes, actually. And so, yeah, like you're just losing money left and right. I just think you stay in Texas, you take the money that they're going to give you, which is the max. You play on a good team for an all-timer of a coach, win maybe another title, maybe. Then now you've got two. You've already got 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards. I mean, it's just, to me, this doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what other avenues you actually have if you're Kawhi Leonard that is a trajectory that you could call upwards from here.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's tough because unless he wants to go play somewhere where he is not the focal point, which would maybe make sense a little bit for his persona.
Right.
Where if he went somewhere where that had a Kevin Durant or a LeBron James or something like that, then maybe. But even still, he's got LaMarcus Aldridge. It's not like he's the only one there.
Yeah, and LaMarcus Aldridge, they got into the playoffs in the Western Conference with just LaMarcus Aldridge and really old Manu Ginobili and like DeJounte Murray and
guys that you look at and you're like, this team's awful.
Yeah, you just look at that roster, you go, who are these people? It's not even that the roster is awful. It's like you don't even know who half the guys are.
It's a D-League roster. Plus LaMarcus Aldridge and really old Ginobili and just washed up Ginobili.
And who can give you a quarter here or there, but he can't give you 48 minutes of basketball. I mean, it's insane.
He might not be able to give you 4.8 minutes of basketball.
But he can heat up in a quarter like nobody's business. It's just, I don't know. The team is clearly a top 4 team in the Western Conference if they have Kawhi. And for him to not want to come back, it's like, where else can you go?
I mean, they had the Warriors on the ropes last year until Kawhi got hurt.
Yeah. That's a different series. And I don't know. It's not a guarantee that Golden State wins it.
No.
I mean, I think I would still pick Golden State, but you certainly couldn't guarantee it.
I think it would have gone 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Kawhi's doing. He clearly has some information that we don't, because it makes absolutely zero sense for him to leave.
Yeah.
Or he's just being advised terribly by his uncle.
Yeah. Which that is the only piece of information to me that makes this.
We do see LeVar Ball advise his children, and we see how that goes.
Not particularly well. I have a son in UCLA, and now he's playing in Turkey. I think it's Turkey.
Well, not only did he play at UCLA, he got detained in whatever country they were in. China. How does that happen? Not to completely derail everything, but like that's what happens when you have family running your show.
Don't shoplift in China. That's the lesson. Yeah. Look, which you don't have to tell me. I have sat down on many a weekend and watched MSNBC marathons of Locked Up Abroad. You don't want those problems. Don't shoplift things in other countries. Don't shoplift here, but definitely don't shoplift there, because the legal system's not fair over there.
No, they don't care. And especially if you're American, they're really going to.
It's worse, actually. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It just never bodes well when you have a family member running your show.
No, every now and then it can work out if that person's got a good head on their shoulders.
I can't think.
But typically, you hear things like, "Oh, my uncle," and that never ends with
and then facepalm.
Yeah, I mean, look at Bernie Kosar, for instance.
Get an agent.
Bernie Kosar's dad lost a bunch of his money. Like that ESPN 30 for 30 broke.
Yeah,
that's Bernie Kosar's story is arguably the most depressing one, because it wasn't even him. It was he let his dad manage his money, and then one day didn't have any left.
Well, then you look like Cam Newton, and his whole scandal had nothing to do with Cam Newton wanting the money.
Yeah.
His dad wanted the money. So it just is never good to have family involved in your business decisions.
Yeah, there's got to be a line sort of drawn between
Especially
there.
when that much money is involved.
Money changes people in a really weird way.
Especially people who you think you can trust.
Yeah, and there's a reason why, you hear it in like every rap song ever, but there's a reason why you sort of stick with the people who knew you before you got famous, who knew you before you got rich, because you know you can trust them.
Yeah.
You can't trust a lot of new other people, but here's the thing, the people that you came up with also change when they see the money.
Yeah, but I feel like friends are even more different than family. Friends will kind of guide you in the right direction. Family's the dirty business, man.
You got people coming out of the woodworks and stuff. Because I remember following Kawhi Leonard through the draft process and not necessarily hearing that much about his uncle. And I knew that there was some element of family because he keeps everything close in his family. Yeah. But his dad was murdered when he was in high school.
Yeah.
So like that was always going to be like whoever that father figure is. The fact that it's the uncle though, let's
just put it this way. Michael Jordan's dad, and they had an amazing relationship, was not his agent.
Yeah.
Worked out for Jordan.
I mean, it's just one of those things. You don't mix family and
type of business.
And this is actually one of the reasons why Kevin Durant said he wasn't going to go back to DC. Was just he's got family out there, and
I mean, has it ever really worked out for anybody who went home, minus LeBron James, like in sports?
And only because LeBron started there. Usually it doesn't.
Like Dwight Howard when he went to Atlanta, that went well.
Except for when it completely didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, when you go home, Dwayne Wade to Chicago.
Yeah, that didn't go. It's not everything that you think it is.
No. The expectations are too high. The pressure is too high. Everybody knows who you are. Plus, you have your family and your childhood and young adult friends. And it's better to just go away. That's why you see college athletes all the time. A lot of them don't stay and play at the big school where in the same city they grew up. Like if you look at a lot of kids in Knoxville, they don't go to Tennessee.
Right.
You look in LA, a lot of those kids don't go to UCLA or go to USC.
You're trying to, branch out on your own and do your own thing. I think that makes a ton of sense. I'll never understand for the life of me how it is that you wind up with your uncle telling you, here's a way to ruin your perfectly fine NBA career.
One that was clearly on track to go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And it still can't. I'm not suggesting on any level that it can't. Because he has been developed as a player at this point. And should he wind up on the right team, it'll still work.
But if he goes to the Knicks.
No.
I mean, that's where careers go to die.
That's where a lot of things go to die lately. I mean, your coaching careers go to die, playing careers go to die. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to wind up on the Knicks. Yeah. I mean, you'd actually be better off on the Nets. But yeah, that's one of the most bizarre stories in sports.
Yeah.
Shift gears here a little bit to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
With the other bizarre story in sports, which is Josh Rosen being too smart to be a quarterback, which is not something I ever thought anyone would ever say.
I feel like people are really, and I know the Rosen thing's been going around for a while. He's too cerebral, and he's so cerebral he doesn't care. Which just blows my mind.
Right.
But I feel like we stretch during this time for NFL stories. And we stretch, and it goes with quarterbacks. Just like with the fact that Lamar Jackson can't throw, but Josh Allen can't throw either the exact same way. But Josh Allen's a great prospect, and Lamar Jackson needs to be a wide receiver. So,
yeah. Or
take Josh Rosen. If Josh Rosen didn't play in L.A., and I know him and Sam Darnold, they're compared a lot because they played in the same city.
Right.
Josh Rosen also was not coached by the same as good of coaches as Sam Darnold was.
He sure wasn't.
I mean, Jim Mora Jr. was the coach. I couldn't even tell you who the offensive coordinator was. You had Tyson Hilton and T. Martin grooming Sam Darnold. T. Martin, a national championship winning quarterback, and Tyson Hilton, one of the most well thought of offensive minds in college football.
That guy's going to be a head coach
someday, and not too far down the road. So, I mean, Josh Rosen hadn't had a lot of development. You put him in the right situation, I think Josh Rosen's going to be great. And I think you said, I'll let you say the quote because I can't remember it, but Josh Rosen, somebody asked him about it, and he said something about he'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah, he'll do whatever it takes. His answer was essentially that if they want him to be a water boy for a year, he'll be the best damn water boy in the entire country. And I think that's the mindset that somehow you can't expect him to have. Why not?
When you tell an athlete who has worked their whole life to be a professional, what is it? What's the percentage? It's like less than 1% of the population becomes a professional athlete.
Yeah, it's thousands of guys in a country with 320 million people.
Right. So you're telling that guy he doesn't care. That if that was me, if I'm Josh Rosen, I'm using that to fuel me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, look, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm better.
It clearly looks like that's what he's doing.
And good for him, because he's these guys are still, he's what, 21, 22 years old. That's still a kid, though.
Yeah.
And he's been in college. He hasn't been in the real world, and he's about to, albeit the NFL real world. But that's going to harden him. I think it's going to make him better. And maybe I'm going to step back on what I said earlier, but he might, like yesterday, but he might end up with that fuel, might be the best quarterback out of the class because of what they're doing.
I think he has the highest ceiling in the class.
Agreed.
I think Darnold is the safest guy.
He's the most ready right now.
Yeah. And I think he's the guy that's most likely to reach his peak. But if Josh Rosen hits his peak, I mean, that's about it as far as
he's going to be the best.
I think he's the most talented guy.
And I just hope he goes to a place that'll develop him. I hope he doesn't go somewhere and just end up in a bad situation.
Absolutely. You're listening to All New Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM, Sports Talk with Sam Jordan, Keon Rose, and Nick LeFew. Filling in for Sam Jordan. Coming up next, Clutch with Keon Rose. We're going to open the show with an interview. Atlanta Braves legend, Dale Murphy. Next.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3.